Welcome to I Got a Guy podcast, a podcast carefully designed to introduce a wide range of very talented and highly skilled professionals ready to share their knowledge and advice with you. Please welcome the host of I Got a Guy podcast, Michael Drelichars. Welcome to I Got a Guy podcast. I'm your host, Michael Drelichars. Thank you so much for being with us. We have so many loyal subscribers each and every week, and we really appreciate you downloading the episodes and listening to them and sharing them with your circles of influence. And to our new listeners, thank you for finding us. If you are new to I Got a Guy podcast, I encourage you to check out igotaguypodcast.com for a list of all of our episodes. You'll see a brief synopsis of each one of our guests and be able to listen to the episodes at your leisure in whatever order you'd like to listen to them. But we've had a wide range of really amazing guests throughout the months here, and we're really proud of those that we've been able to serve and the small businesses we've been able to help as well. So as you know, I Got a Guy podcast was born out of reading a book called The Go-Giver. And in small business owners, it's really important to network. It's really how small businesses grow. So having read this book, and I've read through it several times, they actually had a list of what they call stratospheric successes, 5 laws of stratospheric success. And what I'd like to do is this week, I think our guest really mirrors up with the law of value, which is defined by give more in value than you receive in payment. Give more in value than you receive in payment. And I think as you get to know our guest this week, who I've known for a few years now, you're going to see how this really marries up with her personality and her business. And so it's I think it fits really well. If you happen to want to be a guest on I Got a Guy podcast, at our website of igotaguypodcast.com, you can fill out a contact form and send your information along. Love to talk to you and see how we can include you as a guest as well. But without further ado, let me introduce our guest this week. So for years, for many years, I've had my taxes prepared by a CPA, and I've used a wide range of them. And recently, a few years ago, I was introduced to Margie Manietta and from RJ Manietta CPA in Naperville, and been thrilled to get to know her and her father. And so now she's a guest this week. And Margie, thank you for being with us today.
Hey, Mike. I've enjoyed working with you over these last few years.
Yeah, it's really been enjoyable. I love our conversation. I like your mindset around business and understanding the tax laws, because they're complicated and they change all the time. So you really embrace those details. But tell us a little bit about your firm. I know your dad started the firm some time back.
My dad started the company back in 1974. We're actually celebrating our 50th anniversary this year.
Wow, congratulations.
Yes, thank you. We started it at the kitchen table, much to my mom's chagrin, wondering how they were going to make the mortgage payment and take care of 2 kids at the same time. But thankfully, the universe worked in our favor, and it's taken us to where we are today. I joined in 1991, and I've been here ever since. He is currently semi-retired, living his life in Florida there, and I run the business here in Naperville. I have a daughter who's 14 and enjoying her freshman year in high school and enjoying all of the fun things that go along with being a freshman. So yeah, that's what we do. That's our business in a quick nutshell. But we work with a lot of small businesses, and I think, to your point, you have to, and I just had this conversation with my daughter yesterday, you have to give in order to receive. And the more the good you put out will come back to you, which includes in your business. And sometimes you're going to give more than what you're going to get back. And sometimes you're going to give and you're going to get back so much more outside of a payment. You're going to get referrals, you're going to get friendship, and you're going to get to meet a wide variety of people that are really going to enhance your life. And that, I think, is really what being in business is about.
Yeah. Most definitely. Yeah, I personally, I like working with the smaller businesses and the business owners, because you get to understand their vision, their dream, their passion,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you see that every time you sit across the table from somebody. Fortune 100 type companies are great as well, but you don't really get to the essence of how that business started. That
No.
that was so distant in such distant past. But when you work with a small business owner, you can kind of you can see the sweat on their brow and know that they have sleepless nights, and that's okay. And through hopefully your guidance and advice and experiences, you help them out. Maybe they're a little smarter because of it, and they're more successful because of it, and maybe they meet somebody new that helps their business grow. And that I know I find that very rewarding, and I'm sure you do as well.
Well, it's always refreshing to sit down with a fellow small business owner and realize in some way you are having similar struggle. You're struggling in similar areas, or you're both, when you are struggling, you're not alone. You can't look to the Fortune 500 because you're not on the same playing field. But a small business owner understands the power of networking, the power of marketing, and getting customers and taking care of your current customers, and constantly trying to maintain that customer base and make sure that they're taken care of and that they're taken care of well. So a small business owner really understands that struggle and that constant need and desire to make it happen.
Right,
Yes.
right. And being a small business owner yourself, that's where your power comes from, because you can relate, you can empathize. We've all had the sleepless nights, and maybe the cause of those sleepless nights might be different, but the fact that you have to think about this 24/7 is where it relates. So that's
Right. And
awesome.
we all wake up in the middle of the night wondering about our customer, like, oh my gosh, did I tell them about X, Y, and Z? Or I need to call them and tell them I just have this great idea that I think is going to help their business. You know,
Right,
your mind never turns off about your business or about your client's business.
right,
Yeah.
right. And people are different because you probably also serve a lot of individuals that are employees that don't own businesses,
Yes.
and people that are business owners think differently than employees,
Yes.
and
A
and and,
different
and
mindset.
some never have the ability to cross over. But you I'm sure you see a pretty wide spectrum of that.
Yes, but we need all of those people. So we need the ones that
Yeah,
are perfectly happy being the employee, and that's what they want to do, and you have the other ones that say I could do better than where I'm at, and I'm going to start my own business, and that's how the world has. That's how the United States has become the United States, because we can
yeah,
all do better than where our previous employer, right? That's how all small businesses have been
sure,
born. Yeah,
yeah. And small businesses really, I've mentioned this numerous times on the show, but the small businesses really is the foundation of our country.
absolutely.
And there's so many small businesses, and so many individuals are employed by small businesses,
Hmm.
far more than the Fortune 100 type companies. That small business is such an important component to the overall success of our country and our economy. And I'm thrilled to be part of it, and I'm thrilled to be able to support those customers. And this show, in a way, is helping small businesses as well, because I like to help businesses promote themselves and grow. So tell us about your firm. What makes you different from other CPA firms, other accounting offices?
I like to think that we provide a much more personal service. I mean, your business is personal to us. You're part of our family. Your success is our success. If our clients are not successful, then we can't be successful. So we are working hand in hand to help you achieve your goals and your dreams, so that we can also achieve then our goals and our dreams. So we are, you know, I don't want to say a kumbaya moment, but we're holding hands. We're going forward. So I need you to be successful, and I have to help you get there.
Yeah,
So you're not a number. You're not, oh, okay, let me just click it off and we'll go forward.
right. Well, and that's a really important point. You think about, there are a lot of, especially now. We're recording this during prime tax season, and first of all, I appreciate the fact that you're willing to take some time. I know a lot of accountants who barely answer their phone during this time of year. Um, because they're busy doing tax returns. But there's a lot of firms out there that are cookie cutter, that are corporate owned, that are in the malls, just processing returns, and it's just cranking through numbers. And it doesn't matter that they may not put a lot of thought behind the numbers. It's just filling out a form, processing it, and then getting a check at the end, and then on to the next one. Yeah. And so it's nice with your firm, you get to know the individuals personally. And I know when we get together, we chat quite a bit about our families, which is important, and it makes a difference.
Yeah. Yes, I know. I had a couple in last night. New client. We sat down. I prefer to do my tax appointments face to face, so we can get questions answered and talk about what's important to them. So we can talk about the year we're doing the taxes for, talk about what's coming up in this new year, and make plans and adjustments if necessary. And that's what we talked about. What do we need to adjust on their withholding and retirement planning to adjust for the outcome they want to see next year on their taxes? And they were very appreciative. They had gone to one of those chains in the prior year. And, the wife was like, this is exactly what we needed. This is what I've been looking for, is somebody to be able to explain to me how we make the change to see the results we want to see so we don't owe money next year.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And there's also a lot of, software programs where you can go online and just process your own taxes yourself. And I'm sure a lot of people do that. Those are big organizations. But there too, you're going through a bot, and there's no personal connection. You don't have the ability to ask a real question to a real human being. And there's a lot to be said for that.
Yes. Yes. I'm not going to knock those big chains. They're out there. They serve their purpose.
Yeah.
We just provide, I like to think I provide a little more personal service.
Right.
So more one-on-one.
Right. And that's actually a really good point. People can process their taxes. They got to file their taxes, and they can do it a lot of different ways. If somebody prefers to have a more personalized approach, and they want to drive out to your office in Naperville and sit down with you, they will get that personalized service. And I know, like I said, I've used professional account preparers, CPAs, for decades, and I don't want to take that burden on myself. I don't want the responsibility of having to know all the tax laws, and especially because they change so frequently and they're so detailed. I got to spend my time on my business, not learning the tax structure, and that's what you bring to the table.
Right. No, I mean, for a small business owner, we want you to concentrate on what you got into business to do.
Right.
I want to do what I got into business to do, which is taxes and accounting, and I want you to do what you do. Don't think, working in your business doing the bookkeeping and the accounting and the taxes is not going to make you any money. That'll make me money. It's not going to make you money.
Right.
So concentrate on what you do best, and let me concentrate on what the part I do best. And so we can work together to get you where you want to be.
Right. Yeah. Right. And that actually goes right to that law of stratospheric success I mentioned at the top of the show, where you give more in value than you receive in payment. Because that value, having that knowledge, far exceeds whatever your fee structure might be. Because the alternative is to do it yourself, and who knows what the end result could be. Right. So that is really, really critical. And you also have a staff around you too. You're not just a one-person operation. You have a staff of people around you.
Yes, we have
that help
staff. You. Yes, that help me and are here to also answer questions. We have people come into they just stop in. Hey, I have a question. I'm in the neighborhood and I just stopped in. Come on by, stop in, ask the question. I was talking to somebody yesterday. I said, you can't move forward in your business if you can't get your question answered. So if you're in the neighborhood, come on by, let's get your question answered so you can get to the next step in doing what you're trying to do.
Yeah. That's tremendous. And I've used that service of yours as well. And I really enjoy that because it makes a big difference. You can make a decision in your business that could be very detrimental down the road. And sometimes after you make the decision, you can't unring the bell.
Yes.
And then you got to pay the consequences. And sometimes it's pay more in taxes. Sometimes you can't take deduction that you thought you could. I mean, there are things that the average person just can't possibly know.
Yes, we're not an attorney. We don't turn the timer over to, for you to call and ask the question. To your point, you can't unring the bell. We can't get to when we're filing your taxes and you're like, I made this decision because I didn't want to call you and ask the question, so I just did it, and now it comes back and hurts you in the end. So call us and ask the question so we can see how it might affect you, and then you can make a better, more informed decision and how it's going to affect you going forward.
Yeah. Yeah, that is really critical, especially in so many small businesses where you're trying to grow and you got so many moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
The inner workings of all these moving parts is challenging.
Yeah, very much so.
And shouldn't be taken lightly.
No, not at all. No, there's a lot of moving parts, and if you move A, how does that affect B? And if you move B, how does that affect C? I mean, everything is all connected. So yes, you need to be able to see your board game, if you will, if you think of your business financials and all of that. How do the pieces all move together?
Yeah.
And how is it all going to be effective?
Yeah. Good. Well, that's great advice. Now, I know one of the topics we had talked about in the past is you're saying in the accounting industry, you're seeing an aging of accountants, right?
Yes. The boomers are starting. Once COVID happened, I think that was their stopping point. They kind of was like, nope, we're done. And they started to retire, and some of them have sold their practices, and a lot of them have just closed up shop. They made no announcements. They didn't tell their clients, and they just closed shop and have left their clients without any referrals. And the other side of this, though, is there's not a lot of young people going into the industry. So they're not studying accounting. They're not coming out as accountants. So we're getting a shortage because the older generation is retiring and the youngers are not coming in. So, you have the Gen X and the millennials are kind of the last groups that are still going strong.
Yeah. So at some point there may be a gap.
There's already a severe gap in the accounting industry. There is a severe shortage of accountants. Yeah.
Well, hopefully the colleges start incenting students to start studying accounting, and because I mean, obviously it's a very rewarding career. You've been doing this for a long time, and you feel very fulfilled by it. I would love for some young people to take up the passion.
Yes.
A lot of hours during your tax season. You work a lot of hours. There's no shortcutting that.
Nope.
But that's okay. That's the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Then during your summers, maybe you take a little bit longer vacation because you can.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm sure it balances out over the year, right?
Yeah. So you get like a summer break. It's okay. Yeah. It works out. It works
it's a beautiful thing. So hopefully we have a few younger listeners there who are trying to contemplate what they want to do in college, and they'll jump into accounting for that reason. But have their summers freer to themselves.
Yes.
But that's great. Well, Margie, we're going to take a break here in a second. But why don't you share your contact information with our listeners if they want to reach out to you to find out more about how you can help their service, their needs? What's the best way for them to reach you?
So my office number is 630-579-8900. And my email is Margie, MARGIE, at RJMCPA.com. Those are the best options.
Okay, great. I'll put that information on the screen and in our show notes, and we'll make sure that everybody knows how to reach out to you. And obviously, to our listeners, as you do reach out to Margie, let her know that you heard about her here first on iGuy podcast. It's a great way for us to know how our efforts are shaping up and helping people. So thank you for that. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back, and then we're going to talk about some of your passions and the some of the passions in your heart for serving your clients. So we'll be right back and continue with Margie Manietta from RJ Manietta CPA. Be right back. Thank you for listening to I Got a Guy podcast. I hope you're getting a lot of knowledge from this week's guest. But now a word from our sponsor. Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions works with business owners that own commercial vehicles. We help these business owners enhance their growth and profit through the use of GPS tracking technology. Specifically, Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions is known for three key principles. First, we are very knowledgeable in the field of GPS tracking and working diligently to learn more every day. Second, we are accessible. We do not hide behind a toll-free number, and we do not have any overseas call centers. We know our clients personally, and we're extremely committed to serving all of our clients as we'd want to be served. And third, we are responsive. We deliver our GPS units promptly and work diligently to install as quickly as possible. Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions is consistently striving to exceed our clients' expectations. You can learn more about Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions at precisefleettracking.com or call us at 847-865-6008. Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions. We make GPS tracking simple. Now, back to the show. Okay, we are back. Thank you for sticking with us. I'm Michael Drelichars, host of I Got a Guy podcast. We are honored to speak with Margie Manietta this week from RJ Manietta CPA. She happens to be my accountant for the last several years, and had a great conversation talking about serving small businesses. So, Margie, thank you for being with us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for having me, Mike.
So, Margie. The goal of this show is really to help our listeners understand how you might be able to help them. Mm-hmm. And I know you have some passionate causes and some things that really tug at your heartstrings. Why don't you tell us about those types of individuals you'd like to serve?
So my biggest group of people that I really am passionate about is women coming out of domestic violence relationships. I came out of one myself. I received help from many different people, and I feel it is my duty and responsibility to give back and help other women be able to move forward and get on to the next chapter in their life. So I do provide, the tax services to help them navigate, get their tax returns done, navigate through the IRS with whatever might have happened in the past, so that they can move into the future with all of that behind them in the past and move on into the next part of their life.
Right.
So that's my biggest passion.
And so you're trying to take that burden off their shoulders, let them make sure that their financials are in the right place so they can move forward independently and kind of shed their past and put it behind them and go forward.
Right, because one aspect of the domestic violence is the financial abuse, which doesn't get nearly as much talking time as the physical and the emotional abuse, but the financial abuse is just as damaging as other aspects of the abuse. It just doesn't. It's not as well spoken about. So,
sure.
Women need the help. They need to be able to get out from the hole that has been dug for them.
Right.
Yes.
I would imagine, that financial aspect. It is unfortunate that it's not shared much. It's kind of in the background, because I would imagine, I'm just surmising that some women may stay in a more abusive relationship because they don't have the financial footing to be independent.
Yes. That is exactly. It's very difficult to get out of this type of relationship. Once you get out or you're getting ready to leave, that is the most dangerous time to leave a violent relationship, is the leaving and the just leaving part. That's the most dangerous point of the relationship. Right. When the abuser realizes that they are losing the control, that is where at the most dangerous point. So
sure.
If I can help them from my part, I give freely to help them get out.
Yeah. Well, that's tremendous. That's a huge gift, and I'm sure the women you're able to help really appreciate that. So it's a great passion to have, and certainly helping them get on their feet financially may give them a new set of confidence that they can move forward then and get the rest of their life going. So. Mm-hmm. Well, I applaud you for doing that. I was not aware of that aspect, and so thank you for doing that. I've also run into in my networking circles. I have a number of financial planners that I have networked with, And one in particular has been sharing with me that she has had a lot of widows that she is now serving,
Mm-hmm.
and a number of them, their husbands have passed away unexpectedly, and sometimes these women are not prepared.
Yes.
Maybe the husband handles the financials and the taxes, and maybe the business, and all of a sudden they are thrust in the deep end. They're not only dealing with the grief of losing their spouse, but then they're like, boy, how do we connect the dots?
Right.
Have you seen much of that?
We have seen a number of that, and it's, in the older generation, that was very common, where the husbands took care of all the financial aspects, and the wives took care of different aspects. So when their spouses passed, the wives had not much knowledge of what was going on. So we try and work with their financial planners and their attorneys and the spouse, the wives, to help them see what's going on, what they need to do. Hold their hand, walk with them, do the tax returns, and really try and take a gentle approach to explain what we're doing on the tax returns and what forms are needed, and this is what's happening and what we're going to need and what we're going to be doing going forward. Yeah, it's very difficult. I mean, I can't imagine being with somebody 40, 50 years and you lose your spouse, and now you're thrust into all of this that you have no idea what it is. You've never had to do it, and that's very challenging.
Right.
Yeah.
And all the history that goes along with the decisions that were made in the past are gone with the spouse that passed away. So
Right.
you don't even have a roadmap. You don't have a guidebook to say this is why we did what we did.
Right. Because it's all in their head, and
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
we kind of have to tell us about your husband, what, kind of piecemeal some of their information and see how, well, maybe he was thinking this, and that's how we got to this point. And,
Yeah.
So we just try and help them the best we can.
Yeah, I would imagine if you've been helping the family to that point and the husband passes away, at least you have some history.
Yes.
And so then the wife can plug in, the widow can plug in, and you can kind of educate them on what you have known. But I would imagine if you first meet the widow and had no knowledge of the husband, that makes it even more difficult for you too.
Yes, because I'm trying to ask her questions and gather information, and she doesn't really know what I'm asking for or what I'm looking for. So then I have to go to maybe the financial planner or the attorney, get a copy of the trust, and kind of piece together the information that way to be able to prepare the return and go from there. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you also look at the past year's returns to kind of get a sense of what was going on there too?
Yeah. So you kind of have to look backwards to get an idea of what was the history. Did they have these taxes? Did they have dividends from these companies in the past? And maybe that's so we can kind of get a cost basis, where all these dividends reinvested, and maybe they, the brokers don't have the right cost, and kind of piecemeal together some of the information. So so you kind of have to be able to read the past tax returns to get what you need for today. Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of moving parts in those kind of scenarios.
Yes. Yeah. That's I try and those are another soft spot because they remind me of my grandma. So.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, and that's such a valuable component that I think you don't think about until it's too late.
Yes.
And that's unfortunate. Well, do you recommend a spouse couple, husband and wife, coming in to prepare their taxes together?
Absolutely.
Or maybe so,
Yeah, absolutely. So that, I mean, I have a husband and wife right now. I've met the husband one time, and his wife dragged him in, and she's like, "You need to meet her, so if something happens to me, you at least know what she looks like and where you need to go." Because she takes care of everything, and he doesn't. He has no idea. So I know all of their stocks and dividends and things of that nature. So yes, she's dragged him in here one time just so he knows who I am. and who he needs to contact should something happen to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really important. And, honestly, you've never met my wife,
Yeah.
and I should bring her with me because you're right. I hadn't thought about that. I handle the business 100%, and but yeah, we need to be prepared for that stuff. And yeah, that's an interesting concept that it totally escaped me. So
Yeah.
thank you
Or
for
we'll get the
sharing.
kids. They'll call and be like, oh, my mom passed or my dad passed, and I found your name on a tax return. Can you help? Because we don't have a clue. It's just,
Yeah.
it's a good example to put together your whole list of all of your accounts and who are you working with, who's your attorney, who's your accountant. So whoever is going to be handling this has a little roadmap on what to do and who to contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really important advice. I was just speaking with somebody about this recently. To be successful in life, you can't be a master of all these aspects. It's really important to surround yourself with key experts. A good banker, a financial planner, an insurance agent, a CPA, and maybe even a realtor. But you get the right people around you that can kind of give you advice and protect you as you go. And then you obviously have to have this listed so that the next of kin can follow that roadmap as well.
Right, because you have to realize we're all just on your team. We are all part of your team to help you move forward. Whether it's an individual or it's your small business, we are all just one of your team trying to get you to whatever your next level is. That's our job, is to help you achieve your next goal.
Right.
Yes.
And you work with a lot of financial planners and attorneys then, sounds like.
We do, because again, we're just one cog. You're like the first baseman on your team. You're the quarterback. We're one of the linemen.
So do you have clients that come to you and you find out that maybe they don't have an estate plan in place?
Yeah.
Or they may not have a financial planner? I mean, do you see that situation frequently?
Absolutely. When I'm meeting with during tax season, when I sit down with tax clients, I have those conversations. Do you have a will? Do you have a trust? It's amazing to me the number of people with young children who have no wills, who have no trust, and you're like, who's going to take care of your kids? God forbid something happens to you. Who do you have set up to take care of your children?
Right.
Oh, nobody. Well, you need to have somebody.
Well, and you have to have it legally. I mean, they may assume that their sister-in-law may take care of the kids, but if you don't have a document, the courts make that decision, not you. And
yes. And that's what I tell them. I'm like, the state of Illinois will step in. They will take care of your children. Is that really what you want to have happen?
Yeah,
so,
that may not be the best choice.
Exactly. Maybe you want somebody to have the physical power of attorney over your children, but you want somebody to have the financial power of attorney over your children. So you have different people, so the same person doesn't have control of both things. But these are things you need to write down, and you need to meet with the attorney and get it all written out in your will and your trust.
Yeah, have it documented, and all the parties need to be, you need to share that information. It can't be kept secret.
Yes.
You need to have it, documented and clear.
Right. Nobody wants to think about that worst case scenario, but unfortunately, it's going to happen to all of us, and we do have to be prepared.
Right. Well, that you're right. Many people like to stick their head in the sand and, well, it's not going to happen to me. But the reality is, sometimes, as we said earlier, sometimes you can't unring the bell.
Right. Now, I suffered a house fire in December of 2022. So last year, I talked to all of our clients about their homeowners insurance and review your homeowners insurance policy. Do you have enough coverage on your contents, on your structure? In today's world, with the costs the way they are, make sure your actual contents or structure coverage is actually enough to take care of the structure with today's costs. Because none of us look at I said the same thing. That'll never happen to me. Nope, my house isn't going to burn down. And there it did. So, we never think it's going to happen to us until it does.
That's really sage advice because you think about it, nobody wants to pay more in insurance.
No.
Everyone's thinking, oh, my insurance policy keeps going up. I don't want to pay more premium. But if you are undercovered, that few $100s more that you could have paid to be adequately covered could cost you tens of thousands of dollars should something catastrophic happen.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I almost maxed out my structure coverage. So, I'm not living in a multi-million-dollar house. So if somebody has a more expensive house, and especially with the costs the way they are today,
right,
I would argue that you need to look at your homeowner's policy, review it with your agent, and make sure that you have a policy that's going to cover contents, your personal expenses, living wherever you would need to live, and your structure, and that is enough. Even if you have to pay a few $100s more a year, I mean, I know it's never going to happen to you, but it could. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and obviously, if you have a good insurance agent on your team, that individual should be helping you through that. But for those that may not have an insurance agent and may, simply shop for the cheapest insurance, it may be time to review that.
Exactly. Cheapest is not always the best.
Right.
Sometimes you get what you pay for. So, yeah.
Yeah, there is a price to pay for that.
Yes.
So you got to be appropriate and fair to yourself and be realistic.
Yes.
But right now, and there are some people in situations where they are financially strapped and they have to go with some lower cost. But even if you go with a lower cost solution because you have to save money, you still want to make sure you have adequate coverage.
Absolutely.
So you don't have to pay the most expensive, but you gotta be fair to yourself.
Yes. At the very least, make sure you could put your house back together. The stuff is the stuff, and that'll all come back. But the structure, nobody's sitting around just with an extra few $100,000 ready to, pour back into their structure just for the heck of it. So
right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, great advice, Margie. Any other thoughts you want to share? Any other stories you want to share with our listeners to kind of get a picture of who you are and your firm and why they should be reaching out to you to come to have the taxes prepared by you?
Oh boy. I think I like to think I'm pretty fun. I'm pretty nice, and I really enjoy doing what I do, and I enjoy working with our clients. So I'm really more of a face-to-face person. The technology is great, but I really enjoy sitting down face-to-face with people. So if that is your jam, I am your gal. If you're more, I want to do everything virtual, I could. That's not me. I'm a face-to-face. I'm an old-fashioned gal. I want to do it, in person. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I'm the same way, and I drive a good distance to get to your office, and I find it all worthwhile. And I don't hesitate in a moment to pop in and see you whenever I need to, because I appreciate the relationship that you develop face to face. Our technology is great, and fortunately, we have the great technology.
Absolutely.
And but nothing replaces human contact and face to face and working together and building this together. So
right.
That's really important.
Yeah, face to face, a smile, a handshake, that goes a long way.
Yeah. And fortunately, you're conveniently located. You're off of I-88. It's not hard to get to in Naperville. So to all of our listeners, if you're in the Illinois area, it's worth the time to drive out to Naperville to meet with Margie and kind of see how she can help you. And if you were to meet a new client, would you ask them to bring last year's tax returns just so you kind of get a little history?
Absolutely. I would ask
just last year, or do you You want more than 1 year? How do you typically do that?
Definitely 2022, possibly 2021. If they're a business, I'd ask for 2022's financial statements and 2021's financial statements to see what the trends might be on the financials and how it compares to the tax returns. Because we could be cash basis on the tax returns, but by accrual basis on the financial statements. So I'd like to be able to look at those, see what's going on, and then obviously look at 2023 to compare. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So come prepared with all your details, and Margie can certainly help you sort through the details and get on the right track and maximize your filings and pay your fair share, but not pay too much, right?
Absolutely. Pay you or pay the IRS. Let's pay you first.
Yeah. But as much as we hate to pay our taxes, same thing like having the right team around you. We all got to pay our taxes. This country doesn't happen. There's no such thing as a free ride, but we don't want to overpay.
No.
Let's do what's fair. Let's do what's right, and maximize the income that we do have.
Absolutely.
So that's great, Margie. Thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate taking some time, and I hope our listeners get a really good sense of the firm that you run, and if you happen to be somebody that maybe you weren't plugged into your financials and your family situation has changed, and now you're thrust into the deep end, Margie can help you through that. If you're a widow or widower and maybe you don't have a lot of history on that area, Margie can help you through that. If you happen to be a woman in a domestic violence situation and you need some help, Margie's very passionate in that area as well. So please lean on Margie for those services, and she can help you through that aspect, your financial aspect of that. So thank you for doing that, Margie. I'm sure a lot of women appreciate your assistance there.
Well, thank you for having me, Mike. Appreciate
it.
it.
Yep. So why don't you share your phone number again? Why don't you repeat the phone number twice so our listeners can write that down?
Sure. My phone number is 630-579-8900. And my email is margie@rjmcpa.com. And again, my phone number is 630-579-8900.
Great. I'll put that in the notes and help everybody reach out to you whenever they can. So thank you for that. And now let me just throw a quick note in for my day job, if you will. This I Got a Guy podcast is a passion of mine, helping small businesses. But my day job is GPS tracking. I work with businesses that own commercial vehicles, and we help these businesses enhance their growth and profit through the use of GPS tracking technology. So if you happen to own a small business that has commercial vehicles, even if it's one or two vehicles, we can help you get the most out of those assets. You know where your drivers are throughout the day. You know, if there's a theft of an asset, we can help you recover those assets. And we just give you a lot of good information about these vehicles. These vehicles are expensive. They typically have quite a few tools and equipment inside. They're very expensive, and you want to just get the most out of it. So if you happen to be a business owner that has these commercial vehicles, reach out to Precise Fleet Tracking. Our website is precisefleettracking.com. That's precisefleettracking.com. Or call us at 847-865-6008. 847-865-6008. So thank you for that. And Margie, again, thank you. And to our listeners, thank you for being with us. And we look forward to speaking with you next week. Take care and make it a great week. Take care. Thank you for listening to I Got a Guy podcast. For past podcasts and more information, go to igotaguypodcast.com. That's igotaguypodcast.com. Please share this podcast on your social media feeds and tune in again next week to I Got a Guy podcast.